Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today's video is going to be another Black Desert Online video guide, and today we are continuing from where we left off with the last one. We are going over Awakening Warrior skill point guide today. The previous video we covered leveling up as a warrior and also succession, keeping in the sword and board category, and today we're bringing out the great sword and we're taking a look at that. Also, let me know, guys, what you think about the new intro. Big shout out to Starseeker Valkyrie that helped make this a thing. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Now we're level 56. We have done our quest for Awakening. A lot of the stuff we put points into, we don't need anymore. Do not need it, we don't want it. So what we're going to do is, we're going to click up here at Reset All. Again, this one works all the way up to hitting level 57. So when you hit level 56, do your Awakening and your Succession quest line, and make sure that you reset all your skills before hitting 57. You're also going to be getting an item called Armstrong's skill reset, something similar. You can use that. It's going to give you a 24-hour buff where you can freely reset skills if you happen to be higher than level 57. So we're going to reset all our skills now after we have completed our Awakening quest. We're going to pick our Awakening build. We click up here, Awakening. Let's go Awaken. Now, obviously, some of these abilities are going to be level capped, but I will go over which abilities you want to prioritize while you're leveling up, looking at your skill points while you progress. It's kind of hard making like a very specific guide. Back when I was leveling up, there was guides like when you have 1600 skill points, this is what you want. And when you have 1800, this is what you want. But I never really knew in which order to prioritize them and why I wanted the different things. So that's what we're going to try and tackle today. For Awakening, the most important thing to get is, again, AoE damage and mobility. The prime ability is going to be Gravedigger. Whenever possible for Awakened Warrior, you want to get points and max out Gravedigger. Again, at level 56, we can get the first rank. Solar Flare is another one that is extremely important to get, but you can get by with just having 1 point in it if you're using it just for mobility in the beginning, which you probably will. Later on, this is going to be part of a lot of your combos, but again, early on when you're 56, 57, all the way up to 60, you're probably not using this ability as part of any sort of DPS combo. So you can get by with 1 point in Solar Flare for quite a while, and the same thing is true for Balance Strike. Mobility, it's great for cancels and all that, but you don't need the additional damage until later on. So keep 1 point in these. Another one that you want as soon as possible at level 56 is Slashing of the Dead. It only requires 1 point. The damage of slashing is tied to Gravedigger. So the more points you get into Gravedigger, the more damage your Slashing of the Dead deals. So that's why you want to max out Gravedigger whenever possible. Another great ability that you do want to put points into is Pulverize. Make sure that you max out Pulverize whenever possible. And I think we're just going to max out the abilities we want maxed out first. So we make sure we max out Gravedigger whenever we can at every level interval. It's a good idea to save skill points for Gravedigger. Tempest, again at level 57 you can get this, and you definitely should. It's a 1 pointer, and the damage of this scales off your Pulverize. So putting points into Pulverize whenever possible is very, very good. We also get an ability called Reckless Blow. Again, this is one of those 1 pointers, 1-hit wonders. This is only available at level 59. But when you get to 59, make sure you get this one. Armor Break, it's a super good ability. But while you're leveling up, you are again most likely going to one-shot the mobs you're fighting. And this one here, it lowers the tankiness of the mobs you're hitting. But if you're already killing them with one ability, it's not that important. However, it's only 20 points and that's it. So if you find your points plentiful, make sure you get it. It is extremely good and even more so in PvP. Angle Break has been buffed a lot. This used to be one of those abilities you could skip on, but right now extremely good, and it's only 5 points. So get this as soon as possible at level 56. Perfect ability. Your knee kick you can completely skip on. A lot of people don't even have it at in-game. There are some uses for it, but personally I stopped using it for a long time ago, and I haven't missed it. So you can completely skip putting points into this one. Heaven's Cleave is definitely one you would want to get when you hit 59, and that will require another point into Balance Strike. So you can keep Balance Strike at level 1 until you get 59 and then getting Heaven's Cleave. Hill Strike is another ability you can skip out on for a very long time. It's a great self buff and it has a lot of combo utility in in-game PvE, but while leveling up, this isn't that important. Frenzy Strike is another ability that's actually a good damage ability. It's large AoE. The problem with this one is it's a 3-striker, very long animation, and you can't really cancel it. Only the last swing is cancelable. You know what I mean. So you can skip on this. I would suggest you do it when you get into higher end grinding after Hysteria level. This one becomes one of your absolute best abilities for PvE. But all the way up to and including Hysteria, this one doesn't actually give you any good value. So if you're missing skill points, skip out on Frenzy Strike. Overwhelm is another one that is extremely good, but it's mainly a PvP combo ability or an in-game PvE ability. It allows you to do some really, really cool stuff. If you can find the points, I would definitely get this one though. Merciless, the last one of the Awakened abilities. This one is a spammable one. It used to be one of the best in-game PvE abilities. Until you get into Hysteria, this isn't that used. So you can skip out on this while you're leveling up to level 60 and so on. So what we're looking at, we'll take this one and we're gonna put here and here. So getting all the like really important stuff for PvE and leveling up for Awakening Warrior are these abilities here. Make sure you max out Gravedigger whenever possible and Pulverize as well. And then you just put in spare points wherever needed. Now, that isn't all. For Awakening Warrior, you're also going to be using your pre-awaken kit. And the number one thing, mobility. The two mobility abilities for pre-awakened is your Charging Thrust. You want to get this one up to level 4. But most importantly, you want to get quick charging. I think you can get level 3, and then you can get your double dash, the quick charging. Later on, you definitely want to get the level 4 for your front guard. Same, you want to get shield charge, and you want to get your ultimate and your double shield charge. Infinite Mastery is probably the most important one to get now that you are 56 and above. So you want to max this as soon as possible as well. After that, again, fitness training whenever you have skill points available. But make sure that you have enough skill points for when you're going to level up to get the next rank of your Awakening kit. So nothing feels worse than finally hitting that level 59, and now you can get your Heaven's Cleave or your next rank of Gravedigger, and you have no skill points because you put them all into fitness training. Trust me, I've been there. So make sure you check out which abilities you want for your next level and keep enough skill points to get those when you hit the level. You really want to get is Ground Roll. Again, get it to level 4 so you have the max range on the pull. Super good ability. These abilities here, like the grab and everything, it's stuff you want to get later on, more at end game. But when you're leveling up still and playing, they aren't really a priority. Okay, so now you've hit level 60 and you have all your abilities available to you. Which one should you be putting points into while leveling further, getting more into the in-game aspect of the PvE, and maybe even wanting to get some of the stuff so you can compete and be usable in PvP scenarios? Let's start with the Awakening Kit. The stuff that you now want to make sure that you get maxed out, and I'll max them out in the order of priority. So whenever you have the points, get those abilities maxed out and work on to the next one. Again, 1 point in Solar Flare, absolutely must have. We want to get the 2 points in Balance Strike so we can get Heaven's Cleave. We want to max out Gravedigger, get Slashing, max out Pulverize, and get Tempest. We want to get Overwhelm, we want to get Reckless, we want to get Armor Break, Ankle Break. At this point here, when we are more into the endgame, we want to make sure that we get Frenzied Strike as well. Amazing PvE ability at this point. If you have leftover skill points, I would prioritize getting your main hand first, and then we're going to go back and maxing out the Awakening. In your main hand, the most important things for overall PvE, PvP, we're looking at the mobility. We want to get our guard pressure back up. When you get into the more late game, you're going to be spending more time, especially in PvP, using your pre-awaken. It's not that relevant in PvE though. Shield charge, absolutely must have. With ultimate shield charge and of course a double shield charge. If you can afford it, you definitely want to get absolute. It deals really good damage now at this point here. Charging thrust must have level 4 into your quick charge and double dash. We can still skip out on absolute. It doesn't do anything. Further down here, must max out Infinite Mastery. Now we're going to go back into the Awaken Kit. We're now looking to max out Solar Flare, Balance Strike. We want to get Hill Strike now for the PvE application, but also for any PvP scenario. You can hotkey this ability and use it, and give yourself a 20 DP buff. It's extremely useful, extremely easy, and you can actually cancel this using your Q block. So if you throw this down to a hotkey, you can, from Q, insta use it and block. The ability looks like this, but as you can see, the 20 buff here, I just activate it and it refreshes instantly. Super nice and super quick. So at this point, we definitely want to get this one. After this, maxing out Merciless is very useful for in-game PvE. So I would suggest getting this. It also deals really good damage in PvP later on. So this is sort of what you're looking at. This is around 1100 skill points. It's a very doable build, and there's a good chance you will already be able to do this at level 60, maybe 61. To get a fully fleshed out build, we need a bit more. We should have gotten the Ground Brawl level 4, very important. And at this point, getting Piercing Spear and maxing out Ground Smash. Make sure you get the absolute version of this. Super useful, super good PvE and PvP. Now, Insta-Grapple should be a very, very high priority. I should probably have mentioned this one earlier. It's very low cost, and it's a passive ability now to your grab, regardless of level. When it comes to your grab, putting more points into it just means it deals more damage. So same with the Apprehend, it's just an additional damage to it, and it's only really going to be useful in PvP scenarios. So by just having Takedown level 1 and Insta-Grapple, you are fully functionable with your grab in a PvP scenario. You do want to max it out though, eventually, because it actually deals really good damage on the ability, but it's not a high priority. At this point, you also want to make sure that you get your Frenzied Spear. Frenzied Spear is super good in both PvE and PvP because you can use this from your awakening, and it has a movement component to the ability. So when you throw the Frenzied Spear, you hit somebody and you will dash over to that target and do damage. But more importantly, you will dash over to that target. Movement is king. Over into your main hand here, you can take Absolute Spear. It deals a really good damage in PvP scenarios. So if you have the points, definitely worth getting. Getting Scars of Dusk is also very good because it gives you another DP buff that stacks with your other DP buffs. Of course, while all of this is happening, whenever you have spare points, I suggest putting them into fitness training and skilled hunter when you get into the more end-game PvE scenarios or late-game PvE, where you're not one-shotting mobs anymore and the additional monster damage is therefore useful. So we're working on a build right now which is basically fully functionable in both PvE and PvP, and at this point we are around just around 1500 points deep. When it comes to choosing one of the core abilities for your Awakening build, all of them actually have really good uses. If you're focused just on PvE, there is none that beats out Frenzied Strike. It adds a frontal guard to your Frenzied Strike, which is a high damage, long animation, but unprotected ability in a warrior kit. Getting a forward guard means you won't be CC'd in PvE by mobs while doing it. It's an absolute must-have at late game, end game PvE. I would suggest you make a very specific PvP build and a PvE build. And for PvE, use Frenzied Strike, and for PvP, any of them will do. My personal favorites are Solar Flare. It's really good in 1 versus 1 and large scale scenarios. Balance Strike is, in my opinion, the best 1 versus 1 small scale add-on. It gives you a front guard when you're doing Balance Strike, and it's a 3-second cooldown, so you're using Balance Strike a lot to reposition and catch people. So many uses with this one. However, Gravedigger is another one. I see this one as being the best for a large scale fight, where you're throwing out your protected AoE abilities, and now you have a CC attached to it as well. So this is pretty much all the essentials for our Awakening Warrior. After this point, anything you get now is nice to have stuff. Some of them are really useful in PvP, and you should definitely be getting those. But for now, you can function in PvP, you can do your combos if you catch somebody, and you have all the stuff you need for PvE. Now, which abilities do you want to, whenever you have the skill points, start maxing? You want to be getting points into counter. You do want to eventually get absolute counter. Obviously, you want to max out takedown, apprehend, and absolute takedown. Nice bonus damage. Kick, you want to have locked. You want to get chopping kick, however, and you want to get ultimate chopping kick. Further down the list, we have Upper Shield Strike. Again, we have an ability here which is only going to be relevant in PvP and not for a very long time. The more you start playing and practicing, the more of the abilities you add into your uses and your kit. And this is one of those abilities that, while very good, is not going to be in your main stable for quite a while, even in PvP. But it is worth getting eventually. Spinning Slash is another ability that you definitely want to get eventually. It is still very useful in different PvP combos, and the ultimate Spinning Slash allows you to do some funky stuff as well. So definitely worth getting eventually. I hope this was useful to you guys. As always, any questions, feel free to write a comment below. I do my very best to answer all questions on the YouTube videos. And as well, come and join the Twitch community. I stream at twitch.tv/BiceptionsPrime several times a week. And that's about it. See you in the next one.